We are live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Healthy Mind, Healthy Body. I am so excited for our third live coming to you. I have some amazing experts that are going to dive a little deeper into what we were chatting about and get a little bit more perspective on what made us want to do this in the first place. And so, first of all, Annika, my friend from Sleep Like a Boss, I had this mad idea, and you got to tell me what made you say yes, my friend?
I think it's the story that I think a lot of us share of this having personally gone through a health struggle or a difficult time in our lives. And we've learned different things along the way that have helped us overcome. And just your willingness to put that all together and helping share that information so people can get better. That's, I think, what I am, and most of you probably all, that's what we're all about, right? So that's why I was really happy that you're looking at everything so holistically and are willing enough to share your story and our stories.
I can't express to you. I've watched your interview actually 3 times with for myself, and my sleep is getting better, my friend. Your strategies you've given me, they're working.
Okay.
And I just want to thank you. I know this may sound weird to say I think about you in the middle of the night, but I kind of do. So I want to dig a little bit deeper into our interview because you brought up so many great points. But what would be the main message and the main takeaway of what we talked about together and what people can really value from that interview?
Oh yeah, there were so many things. I think one of the things that we often overlook is that sleep is foundational, right? If we're talking about fitness, mental well-being, physical well-being, like if we don't sleep, we don't recover. So we need to get the sleep right to be able to get all those other things in place. And so what we talked about a lot, I think we talked about a lot about circadian rhythm health. So is your sleep wake cycle okay? How can we optimize your sleep wake cycle? Because there's hormones that play in with that, right? That was a fun part that we talked about. Another thing that we talked about, I think that was where I had a bit of a surprise moment from you, I think, was about food, right? The connection of what we eat, when we eat, what how can that positively or negatively affect our ability to get a good night's sleep? So I think that was a good one. And we also talked quite a bit about like behavioral things, because often it's things that we do or that we don't do throughout the day actually that affect our ability to sleep or to not sleep.
The biggest thing that I think has helped me is definitely diet and what I'm eating closer to bedtime, not eating as close to bedtime, but also make sure that I'm getting enough and I'm fueling my body throughout the day to make sure that I can sustain that without having to eat right before bed. And I feel that we don't plan our sleep. We plan our programs, we plan our food, we plan it, but we don't plan our sleep. And sleep hygiene is critical. Let's talk a little. I know that we talked a little bit about that with the sleep hygiene and making sure that our room is set up for success. What, from a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think? How important is that?
Well, I think it depends. If you're somebody who struggles with sleep, then it is really important. If you're somebody like my husband who can sleep anywhere at any time, I think
I'm jealous.
it doesn't really matter that much. But like generally what we say, right, in terms of circadian rhythm health is we want our bedrooms to be really dark, cool, and really quiet. And they're often, right, that the one thing is the air condition, is the bedding. Another thing can be your partner talking about cool and quiet, right? Like if you're sleeping very close to somebody who's radiating or snoring or things like, right, what are things in your life? And we talked about different things that could affect that you might need to maybe take a step back, assess, and potentially make some changes there. But I think diet is a big one. I think, really getting into that quiet rest mode at night, and also not go to the last minute, because a lot of
Calm
us
the
are very
mind.
good at that, right? And then hit the pillow and expect to sleep. And most bodies don't function that way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's so true. And another thing that really hit home for me with you there is dealing with what you need to deal with during the day and not, because at night, that's when things calm, that's when our brains start to go. So if you're not dealing with the stressors of that, you're staying up all night and solving all the world's problems, if you don't deal with that during the day, and the writing down before bed, that's really helped as well. Journaling, that's been critical. And I want to thank you because my sleep is finally getting better. And I'm confident that our listeners, when they watch your interview, are going to see the experience it for themselves. But I know you need to hop off here, my friend. So I just wanted to thank you. So you stay as long as you want, but when you need to hop off, you go right ahead. Lisa, I'm going to pick on you next, my friend.
Excellent.
So you have to tell me, I know that you were a last minute speaker. I don't want to say last minute, a last minute gold mine that I found, my friend, because your interview was so valuable. And the feedback that I've been getting from your interviews has been amazing. I had someone from Australia reach out to me and tell me how amazing that interview was. So that it's just to show you guys, each one of you are making such a difference. And that's amazing. But first, you got to tell me why you said yes to me. What grabbed you into this?
Well, what really grabbed me in was, healthy mind, healthy body. It's what I coach on. It's what I believe in. I feel like our mindsets are everything, right? And for the, not just for the clients that I work with, but everybody who wants to really focus on getting healthier, being healthier, staying, optimal wellness, it really all starts with your mind and your mindset, because how you think, right, actually creates your reality. And so when I saw, just the summit that you were hosting, I was just like, this is like a perfect fit for me to have a conversation about.
I talk about this in my book, that for all these years as being a trainer, I was so focused on what I did in the gym and what my clients would put in their mouth. But I never really focused as much on setting the stage with your mindset and making sure that you are focused on that as well. Because if we're not, that's the foundation of it all. It's where it starts. So let's talk about our interview a little bit. What stood out for you, my friend?
I mean, there were so many things that we talked about. I mean, we talked about the dieter's mindset, right? People, the women that I work with struggle with the emotional eating that leads to their decades of yo-yo dieting. And the frustration is, I don't understand. I know what I should be doing. Why can't I do it? Why do I lose the weight and then just gain it back again? And so they have what I call the dieter's mindset or the dieter's mentality. They have a certain way of thinking that is very black and white. They're in or they're out, they're on or they're off. And so when we talked about the dieter's mindset, because that's really what needs to change, because people typically focus on the food and what they should or shouldn't be eating. But what you really need to do is uncover the stuff, what's really underneath what makes you eat when you're not physically hungry. So we talked a lot about that. The thoughts in your head, right? Like, I blew it. What difference does it make? I'll never be thin, or I wasn't perfect today, so I may as well keep on eating. That's the way the dieter's mindset thinks, which sets you up for self-sabotage. So we talked a lot about that, and how your mindset is really what needs to change, your thinking, when it comes to food, weight, dieting.
More of us need to look at our health from a holistic perspective, which is the whole purpose of this summit. And if you really think about it, every single one of my experts all had the same foundation. If it was fitness, nutrition, diet, manifestation coaches, even life coaches, you name it, every single one of them started with what was in the mind. And then we can even relate that back to what we were just talking about with Annika, with the sleep. And I actually had this happen to me the other day, that, if you don't quite get as good of a sleep as you need, then everything gets set off key. But you can supplement that too with some foods, because that makes a huge difference as well.
Well, so here's the thing. So many women who struggle with emotional eating, one of the reasons why they eat is being tired. Yeah. And the truth is, tired isn't hunger. So they think they need food or some kind of food, typically it's sugar, for that boost to wake them up. But that's not what they need. If you're tired, you need sleep and rest, right? People struggle with their weight because they eat when they're not hungry, and they eat too much food when they're eating. And the eating when you're not hungry is, I'm tired, so I'm eating. I'm bored, so I'm eating for something to do. I'm frustrated, so I'm eating, right? I'm angry, so I'm eating. But that's not physical hunger. And so you kind of have to look at the evidence of, if you can't lose weight or you keep regaining the weight that you lose, what are you eating that has nothing to do with being hungry? So I don't believe in feeding tired, but I do believe that the food that you eat gives you the energy that you need throughout the day. And that comes from your meals when you are hungry, right?
Yeah.
And you choose. So if you start your day with something sugary and you're already tired, well, you're just going to be more tired, right? But if you eat a good, healthy breakfast that, starts with a good, choice of protein, well, then you might be able to combat that as you go through your day if you are tired.
Kristy, my friend, I am such a fan, and I found you through your podcast on Spotify, and you hit home for this. You dig deep into this in some of those podcasts. So why don't we talk a little bit about that with your clients? Because you talk about eating right for your body and the stage of life that you're in, because as the fun of perimenopause and menopause start taking its toll. So why don't you just add on to what Lisa said there? Because I know you've a wealth of knowledge in that department.
Yeah, that was very interesting. My brain was sucked right into like, oh, that's my shit right there. Yeah. So I love all of that. I think that what came to my mind when you were talking, Lisa, was like the knowledge of that, and then the confidence, a lot of that as well, to add on to what you were saying, which I totally agree with and love. A lot of that comes from like, why are we eating when we're not hungry? Why is that happening? And I love to focus on those little parts of what's the education there, what's knowing that, and then moving on, being confident in what else can I do besides eat when I'm tired, when I'm angry, and all of those things. And I think that confidence really helps my clients, and it helps myself in my journey to be able to not look at the shiny objects so much, and to not look at food to fill those gaps. Yeah. As well as now going into different parts of your life. When I had little kids, that things looked different. Food looked different. Stress looked different. Being tired looked a lot different than now in my 40s, and what that looks like. And then also treating my body differently with different workouts, my movement, and dealing with my body. And so a lot definitely changes throughout our life. And I love to empower women with the confidence and the, I guess, education and the knowledge to kind of go along with all of that as well.
So true. Jamie, my friend, I'm going to get you to add on to that, because I love what you do in starting the Helpful Living magazine, and what you do for your readers to show them that it really does start in the mind, and mental health is just like sleep, critical for your success in every avenue of your life. If you don't have your mental health in order, because you're not nourishing your body, moving your body, all these elements, add on to that. So looking at the mindset for setting the stage for healthy eating and a healthy lifestyle, what do you see in your readers when you get feedback that really is their biggest roadblock on that?
I would just say one of the roadblocks would just kind of be what they're facing currently. Sometimes, like mentioned before, you can be an emotional eater, and more so just kind of facing the challenges that we're dealing with daily. Sometimes if we're stressed, we may eat more, or we may not eat at all, or, things like that. So it's just kind of important to listen to your body and listen to what's triggering you, what's around you, what your environment looks like. I think that's critical too, because that can either help us or hurt us.
100%. I want to shift that from the overeating perspective. Lisa and Kristy, I know both of you are going to be able to add on to this, but let's talk about the undereating. Let's talk about, we're so stressed out, we're not nourishing our bodies enough. We're not even giving our bodies enough calories to sustain the day. And then especially if we're like, I'm going to go to the gym and hit those weights. Kristy, we know if we're not nourishing our bodies and we're not providing and having the right balance of macros, we're not going to see the same results. So Lisa, let's talk quickly with you before I move over to Kristy for the undereating component of things, because most women actually do, I feel, undereat in many ways, or eat just the wrong things, right?
Yeah, well, what I find with the people that I work with, they undereat because they think undereating is going to get them to weight loss faster, right? And oftentimes when they're undereating and they're not giving their body enough calories, you can't release the weight because your body's holding on to all the calories that it needs just to keep nourished. And also, undereating, I focus on, mindset and nutrition, but I was also a personal trainer for 20 years. And so what I also know about women who undereat, you can't build that muscle, right? You can't, your body needs the protein. It does need the good complex carbohydrates in order to go to the gym and have the energy to fuel your muscles and to build the muscles, to, to build that lean muscle, because muscle, as you know, and Kristy could probably attest it, and you yourself as well, that the more muscle on your body, the faster your metabolic rate.
That's right. Absolutely. Kristy, what about you? How do you work your clients through the under eating? Because we all know many of them do it.
Yeah, that's hard. And one thing that I like to just be blatantly obvious with them at times when it's needed is that's not working for you. How long have we been under eating and that you feel lethargic and you can't keep up with your kids and you're so tired and you're literally not losing the weight. So that's not working in so many different areas of your life. When I break that down, of course, and explain. But yeah, when you are trying to go to the gym and do extra cardio and build this muscle and, look toned, but you're not feeding your body enough to do that. And that's where that knowledge and that education comes in of like, literally, why am I not able to do this? Why is this not working for my body? And yeah, under eating it goes along with overworking out. I feel like we want to always do more. That's one thing we talked about in our interview was I feel like when my ladies are really struggling, they feel like they need to eat less and work out more. And it's like doing more and adding on more things. And it's kind of the opposite usually, is more going back into what Jamie said of listening to your body. And, do you feel tired? Do you feel enough energy to work out? And kind of going back into that, really getting to know yourself and listening to our bodies. So yeah, under eating is definitely a problem. And I think it's just an awareness of what food does for our bodies and what macros are and what our body actually needs. I feel like that's just not taught well by a lot of other coaches and programs. And to go into the other question that you had asked the first speaker, but that's what led me to this, masterclass, was that it really focused on authentically what works. And we're not just talking about things that don't matter. These are truly the things that matter.
And the importance of working with an expert. And I understand resources for some people, especially in the state of our world, can be challenging, but there are so many resources now. Healthy mind, healthy body is a good start. And that's honestly why I wanted to do this, because, two excuses that I hear from my clients is I don't have the time and I don't have the money, right? Those are the two top reasons that hold people back. But it is so critical to work with an expert, work with the mental health expert, work with the nutritionist, work with the dietitians to get you on the right path. Because not what will work for me. Even Kristy, you and I probably been training, and Lisa just as long. Our bodies are going to be different. What works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. And that's really important to start digging deep and finding those answers. Irina, my friend, why I brought you on this. Well, first of all, your energy goes to the moon and back 10 times within 5 minutes, and I love it. Tell us a little bit about the manifestation part of it. So we have the concrete eating, going to the gym. Jamie's given us the beautiful magazine and the ability to have those resources for our mental health, but you just have this way of making everything positive. And so let's talk a little bit about that positive versus negative mindset. And I know Jamie can pipe in there after and tell us.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much. As Lisa and Kristy mentioned, talking about, like some people overeat because of their negative emotions. So manifestation actually helps you to regulate those emotions. When we become more aware, we recognize what kind of emotions we carry. And also we have the tools to regulate these emotions. And if we are talking about what is our goal for our health in general, right? Mindset, body, and soul. This is a good way to have the vision. So everything starts from the vision. What do you see yourself 3 years from today? Yes. What is your future self looks like? Where are you? What are you wearing? How do you look, right? How do you feel? So when you start bringing that picture of your imagination from that future to the present moment, this is becoming your why, right? And as you mentioned, Nicole, that a lot of people have the excuse that they do not have time, they do not have money. And I call it's just the excuse, because we are all the ones to make the choices in our life as well as making the decisions. So if this is something that really is crucial for us, we are gonna do it, right? But if it's nothing that really something that on our priority, we are not gonna do it, right? And we were raised so much in that in that environment where we do not know how to invest in ourselves. All
That's
it
right.
is just like we are gonna take care of everybody else, but we were coming the last ones. Now we kind of have to relearn it, and that's exactly what we are doing when we are rewiring our brain and reprogramming our mind, where we are saying, wait a second, if my cup is not filled, I cannot give to everybody else and I cannot distribute, right? So the idea is, it's all about what you want from your life.
It's a
Because a lot
choice.
of times, yes, a lot of times people would go around and complain and they still create the same results. And I always say that the results that we create in our life is direct correlationship with our thoughts.
So
Because
true.
what you're thinking about it, what is priority for you, what do you believe that you can be possibly doing, right? And that's why we are all coming together, everybody from different perspectives, because we all have our gifts and talents that we are sharing with this world.
So true.
We come together and
Irina,
say,
I'm so
hey,
sorry to cut you off. I know Lisa has to hop off here, so I just want to thank you for your time, and then I'm going to keep going there with
thank you,
Irina.
Lisa.
Thank you so much. This was a great conversation. Keep having it.
I
And
wish
thank
you could stay.
you. No, sorry, guys.
That's okay, my friend. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lisa.
Nice to meet you all.
Bye. But Irina,
But
you're so right. And Jamie,
yeah,
you and I talked about that too, for sure. So
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, Irina, she hit so many things. So, so many things. But I know one of the things that stood out to me that I know we talked about really is just prioritizing yourself. Oftentimes we're putting a lot of things before ourselves. So we end up putting our needs further back. And then all of a sudden we wonder why we're frustrated, upset, because it's usually there's a lot of pride when we get something done. I know for me, it's the little things. If I get laundry done, folded, and put away, oh, I feel like Superwoman. I can take over the world. Okay. So, it's just the little things, the little wins. It helps you, feel really good about yourself. But I know, Nicole, in our conversation, we just kind of talked about support and just kind of the importance of it. And I know with the magazine, that was something that I really wanted to hone into, because we all need support, no matter what we do, in life. You just think of any team, any business, any corporation, they all support each other in some degree. So it's just really important, to have. And even when you're in fitness, whenever you're working out, the support. Like I always, like I'm not a fitness guru or anything, but I do go to the gym, and I notice that when I am in those spaces with other individuals that support that energy, it kind of like helps me go a little bit further. And so I love all that you're doing, with the platform of Mind, Body, and healthy mind and body. And I think it's really important to just kind of continue to spread the awareness, spread the love, and also just spread the information, most importantly, so then that way people can just learn and grow. Because no matter what we're doing, we always can learn, and grow from it.
And Irina, and I can see you agreeing with that, because that positive mindset is absolutely everything. And Kristy, of course, as a fitness coach, we both know that as well. When people say, I can't do something, well, you're right. You can't, because you've just made up your mind that you can't do something. And I do it too. And Kristy, like, we're human. Like, people think that because you're a fitness coach, you have it all right. I was training a client this morning and I had a brain fart. She's like, oh, good to know that you do it too. I'm like, I just can't stress enough that we're all human and we all need that positive reminder. And Irina, I think it was on a live we did recently together. Brenda Lees mentioned that 80% of our thoughts are negative. 80%. So how do we shift that? It has to be a choice. Kristy, well, how do you coach your clients through that mindset? Because I know you've done a few podcasts on that, my friend.
Yeah, I struggle with a negative mindset myself a lot of times, I think naturally. And I think that comes from a lot of what you ladies were talking about. Well, Jamie especially is talking about kind of like getting the laundry done. It's cool to like have all these conversations. Like as each of you are talking, I'm like, wow, it just brings up different things for all of us. But I think we get so bombarded with all the things that we have to do and putting so many other people first that we do think, I can't do this. I can't make time to work out. I can't make time to manifest. I can't make time to think positive. And it all just becomes so overwhelming.
Mhm.
But when we break it down, that's what I really love to do, is just to break down your life into different sections and really check things off or figure out what your habits and what your priorities are, and surrounding yourself with people who are like you, who are like-minded, who have the same goals as you. That's so important. That alone is life-changing. Hanging out with people that think like you and think positive will help you to do that. But that's exactly how I walk my clients through it, is just that awareness of, why are we thinking so negative? Why are we so overwhelmed? What can we actually do about it, instead of staying in that place of complaining about the overwhelm? We have to actively get ourselves out of it. And I struggle with some anxiety and depression and being completely overwhelmed with everything if I let myself. So I actively have to bring myself to the gym, even though it's right through that door behind me. I have to get myself, I have to drag myself. It's not easy. It's a choice every single moment of the day. Just because I have personal trainer behind my name doesn't mean it's easy. So yeah, I think that too, of people knowing that we all do struggle. Personal trainers struggle, and everybody does it. So I think having that feeling of not being alone is helpful too.
That was one thing, that main point and takeaway that I wanted people to take from my book when they read it, is everybody struggles. And the coolest thing about me putting this together, I didn't know where it was going to go, but I have people from around the world, and I mean every corner of the globe, reaching out to me with all the same questions, all the same comments, all the same struggles. We all have them. And it doesn't matter your background. I don't care if you're a doctor, a neurologist, whatever. We all have to put this in the right place. And the second thing that you said here is who you're hanging around with. So I know, Irina, you can add on to that. The energy, if you would have even told me last year, positive energy and what energy you're releasing, I would have been like, okay, hokey pokey, whatever, go take your energy, go to the gym, work out, you're good. But it's true. But it's a thing, who are you spending your time with? Who is influencing you? The same people may not be meant to do your entire life with you. There's seasons for everything. And we need to remember that. So let's talk about, as a manifestation coach, Irina, and an expert in the energy field, how much does that matter to shape the person that you are and the decisions that you're making?
Oh my God, this is brilliant. And also I just wanted to say, hoo-hoo, Bruno, thanks for supporting us.
Yes,
And,
Bruno, thank you.
Yes. And it just says that it's true. Coaches need coaches, right? Because we all don't see our blind spots. So it takes another person, because it's easy for us to encourage somebody. It's easy for us to inspire others. But when it comes to us, we would love to get that support for ourselves as well, right? So the idea is just, like as Kristy was sharing just now, she said, do you feel like doing sometimes things that you have to do? Not necessarily, right? So when we talk about manifestation, we talk about taking care of our body, of our mind, we know that sometimes we just have to do that push. And we know it's all about commitment and the discipline, right?
Yeah.
And I always say successful people are not the most smartest people. Those are the people who are not quitting. Those are the same losers who try one more time, right? So it's all about this. Yeah, it's all in our perspective, right? So true. It's all in our perspective. So even sometimes we just slip off. It doesn't mean that we, we are not meant to do that, right? We do not consider ourselves losers, just understanding that this is our human nature. So whatever comes from our human side, it's okay for us to stumble sometimes. But as long as we just take a pause and keep going, right? And sometimes, like Bruno said, all it takes just to do that action step. Just take your step, whether you want it or not. And once you make that step, then it's gonna, allow you to continue going forward. And when it comes to our energy, remember, what we focus our attention on tends to expand. So a lot of times when we are saying, I can't do it, like Nicole mentioned, yes, you're just directing your energy, saying, like, I don't want to do it, I don't feel like doing it, right? But when we have that final goal and just, like, close our eyes and see ourselves, somewhere where you want to be, to wear this beautiful, sexy dress, to hear the compliments, going on vacation on the promenade, and everybody says how brilliant you look, right? When we connect to that image, this is something that's going to push us to do the work. So it's very important to direct our energy. And like Kristy mentioned, it's very, very important to have like-minded people in your surroundings, right? Because they are the people who are going to push you. They are the people who are going to be there for you when you don't feel like doing anything. And obviously, I can't stress out how important it is to have the coach, that guide by your side, because you're always going to propel on a better level and faster, much faster than you're doing it alone.
Okay, I have to point out, thank you, Steve McLeod. You're the best husband ever and the biggest support. And you know what? I just want to add on to that. It is critical when we're going through life, ups and downs, that we do have the right people by our side. But those right people by our side may be challenging us in one area, but if we're not really pushed past our comfort zone, sometimes the loved ones can identify things about us that we don't even see. We can't always see, we can't see our blind spots. That's why they're called blind spots. And we need each other. And many times it's the people that hurt us, but it's the people that will also build us back up. Jamie, I want you to add on to that, because I know I don't even remember what article I was reading, but there was one of the articles in your magazine and talked about that, who you're around, who, what is influencing you. Let's add on to that.
I would also say being mindful, because I always try to identify somebody that is in a space where I want to be, because more so I would grow with them. They say if you're around people and you're the smartest person in the group, it's time to change your friends, because you kind of outgrow them. Not that you can't be their friends, of course, but just, you kind of outgrow, that circle. So it's just always trying to find someone else where you can learn from. And usually people are open to providing information and teaching. I mean, just look at this platform, we're providing information and helping people grow in any way. So I really think that just kind of being mindful. And I feel like if you're not growing where you're at, and internally if you're growing, you know what I mean? Just by the conversations you're having with people, is it meaningful? Is it thought-provoking? Or is you just gossiping about people? Or, if there's no movement going on in your life, it's really, you want to take a just a mental note of what conversations you're having, because then it also it'll spill out into our behaviors, So it's just like, then you think about it, your purpose, many of us have the pleasure of understanding what our purposes are. There's a lot of people who live a life where they don't.
They never do.
Yeah.
I talk about that in my book. Many people never find their purpose, and it sounds silly, but you're so right. I think you and I talked about that too.
Yeah. And it's just important. It's like when you find out what that is, it's like another life. It's just like you get a chance to learn that, become a student in that, you know what I mean? Finding your purpose, like knowing what your purpose is and obtaining that gift and then giving it out to the world, and knowing your audience and just helping people. And so when you do that, I mean, it feels good. I'm sure all of us, once we even get off this call, we'll feel good because we're helping, people at some capacity that's listening to, to us during this live. And then also when they dive into what we're doing, because, essentially when we do these things, people are like, oh, well, let's look up who this person is. Let me look up Kristy. Let me look up, what is Nicole doing? So it's just like, we help them and it goes beyond. So, it all starts with ourselves. Like, who are we around, and just Really, I feel like when we're not around the right people, again, it shows in our behaviors.
Yeah.
You know, we just kind of feel, and then that makes us feel tired. That makes us drained because it's just like we're not doing what drives us, right?
Yeah. 100%. And I just got to bring it back to the purpose. And how do you find your purpose? Many times you find your purpose through the storm. Many times you find what, I've been through a very difficult time in the 4 years, probably the hardest I've ever been in my entire life. And it has humbled me beyond belief. But I'll tell you what, I found my purpose. And even, I'm not saying that healthy mind, healthy body is solely my purpose, but I feel I was created to help people and to bring life. We all are, each and every one of us. But I don't think people realize that each individual human being on this planet, I don't care what your background is, I don't care what your belief is, none of that, it's irrelevant. Every single person has a part to play in this world to make it better. And how are we contributing to make it better? And does that, how do I put that back to fitness and health? Well, how are you your best? How are you giving back to the world if you're not at your best? If I'm not eating healthy and I'm miserable all the time and I'm having my pity parties. And that was the biggest thing that I found about myself when I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do. When I got past the pity parties, I realized, what am I giving back? Okay, so it looks different. Big deal. I adapt. This world changes. And if we can't adapt to this world, if we've learned anything, you got to keep it positive. Kristy, what do you have to say about that?
Can I just add quickly?
Absolutely.
Because before I forgot, I just wanted to add to what Jamie was saying. Purpose, right? A lot of people do not know their purpose, and the thing is that there are a lot of people who are happy and they think that they are happy, but not too many people who are fulfilled. The fulfillment only comes from when you're really passionate about something what you are given to this world, when you really find what is your purpose. And purpose sometimes can change as we evolve. It also can change. Like, we can start doing this and then we evolve into something else, but still it's still for, for the highest good for everybody around.
That is so true. That's good. I'm going to write that down, buddy.
You're like, ooh.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you interrupted that one. Perfect. Kristy.
I was going to add on to what Jamie was saying too. I feel like when you are not, that can even be kind of in your purpose. If you're not walking in your purpose, you're not around people who are serving you. I feel like you feel that. You can feel when you walk away from, like you were saying, when we walk away from this call, not only are we like amazing, like-minded people, I feel like we just kind of get each other, but also we're doing what we love. When we get off of this call, we're going to feel great. I've walked away from groups of people that have been super negative or super making unhealthy, decisions, X, Y, and Z. And I feel drained. I feel like that's not my people. That's not what I want to do with my life. And so I feel like that's really important too, to just notice how you're feeling at the end of every day. How are you feeling at the end of hanging out with certain people? Yeah, we can't always change our job and we can't always change things, but we can change some things. I'm a big fan of controlling what you can control. And I think that is huge. There's always something that you can do to control a situation, whether that is just leaving the situation, whether that's getting off your ass and doing a workout, whether you want to or not, because you'll feel good. But that also leads into having a great group of support, a coach walking with you saying, I'm your person. I get it. I'm here for you. And here's the rest of my clients that are also here for you. And, this is your new tribe. So I think that support and your purpose is huge.
I want to point out something too. It's not always what we seem. And we also have to remember that our emotions change daily and based on your circumstances around you. And can we always trust our emotions? No, because if I would have told you what I was thinking last Saturday, it definitely wasn't aligned with my value. And I'm constantly having to bring myself back and putting things in perspective. But I want to talk a little bit about Kristy. When I text you, and I mentioned that there was a lady that reached out to me and had an idea of what she thought you were all about. And she, Kristy's podcast is Unfuck Your Fitness. And it can be controversial. I get it. But she's like, I'm controversial.
Yeah, I am.
But here's the thing. So she watched it and she's like, wow. So if she would have just been like, you know what, I don't want to, and had her mindset that she didn't want to see it, she would have missed out. And then she reached out to me and said that was amazing, and it was not what I thought. How many times in life, if we do that, we have this idea that something's going to be one way, and then it's not. Let's talk, Jamie. I want to talk a little bit about that with you, because you must get that from mental health expert, because you work with that a lot. What do you have to say?
Well, when you say this is more personal, and I guess it's mental, like having a baby, like you have the birth plan, you going in saying this is what we're going to do, this is how this baby's coming out, and it don't work that way, right? And
oh, the birthing plans.
That's what came to my mind. Maybe because I was just thinking about it. And I was watching something on social media where a girl had a birth plan as well. And so that's just kind of what's been in my mind. And really just kind of learning to adapt. And there is even a grieving process, when you have a plan and doing something one way and it doesn't go that way. Because you're like, some people put all their eggs in one basket, or you just really worked hard for this plan to go this particular way and then it doesn't. And so you do have two choices. You either you adapt, or you don't. But even when you do adapt, you're just kind of like, dang, I kind of wish it went this way. But I always say, celebrate the wins. And if the outcome is the outcome that you wanted, you got to kind of think, well, I guess, it happens for a reason. I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it does have, things happen for a reason.
Everything.
So yeah.
Everything happens. And honestly, I'm the example of that. If you would have even seen me 2 years ago, I was a different person. I just let myself get in this rut, this downward spiral. I knew what to do. I knew what to eat. Do you think I had, the energy to do that? I knew everything I needed to do, but man, it's so much easier to give the advice than take the advice. And Kristy, as you said earlier on in this, it's exactly it. Just because we're trainers, it's a constant coming back to remind yourself of who you are, where you came from, and what you want to achieve and who you want to help. Because it's all about giving back.
Yeah, I think a lot of things that I've learned in my own life, and more recently as well, as I've gone through some really hard things. Things are not what they seem, for sure. I don't think I am probably what people seem with the Unfuck Your Fitness podcast, with just, how we perceive people on social media. Let's say, for example, if someone comes to my Instagram page, it's pretty clean. It's just workouts. I have a whole other life, that I'm a whole human being, that I struggle. And I think a lot of times we do just look at people or situations, and it's just, we see one thing and we don't think about people as being humans and just struggling, with all of that. But yeah, I think that's really important. I think with fitness, what I've found is that we just overthink so much of it. And when I have gotten stuck and I don't want to do this, I know what to do with my health and fitness and with my mindset. Like, I have the tools, I still have to do it, and making it work for me. I don't have to have a fancy morning routine. I don't have to work out like everybody else. I don't have to eat like everybody else. I have to make it look like what it's going to look like for me. And for a lot of my clients, they're like, I tried this and I tried that and it's not working, so I'm a failure. That doesn't work for me. And when really it's just making it, what does it look like for you? Of course, I'm 43. I just had a birthday. I'm 43 years old. If I was trying to make my body and my life look like a 20-year-old influencer on Instagram, that's not going to work. So, kind of taking in the right info, having the right goals, and then it's okay if it looks different for you. In fact, it should look different for you. I'm not you, Nicole. We're not the same. Our lives and our fitness, and we can get along great. And I'm sure that we would, and we do, but we don't have to do everything the same. So taking that into account, that you are an individual, and your life, your thoughts, your workouts, everything should be individualized to you.
So true. Jamie, our interview, we had I think you were my longest interview. We chatted, my friend, but it was so important. And that's why I just wanted that to just really hit home for people. I want you to add on to what Kristy said with the individual. And I do believe a lot of us beat ourselves up because we play the comparison game, and what was working for one person, may not work for the other. You must have a lot of people reach out to you for similar situations.
Yes. And Kristy, I love that you mentioned that, especially when it comes to fitness, because people will see a picture and like, that's what I want to look like, and then now with society and with everything being online, and, you see the most, 50 seconds of somebody's life, of what they're doing, whether it's a workout, whether they're on a trip or vacation or anything like that. It's just, we really have to focus on really paying attention to how much time we're spending looking at everybody else, right? And if we're doing that more than focusing on what we're doing, then we're going to kind of drop the ball somewhere, and I talk about that all the time. So it's really just important to really just kind of focus on your path, right? And then in addition to focusing on your path, having the right support people, that kind of help remind you, like, no, you're doing this, because how Brenda Lee said 80%. I mean, I'm surprised by that number, but I'm not surprised by that number, because I feel like there's so many negative words that when you start to think of what's not going right, and then this isn't going right, and then this, it just goes down, and then you're just kind of in a loophole, and then you're just kind of like, you know what, I'm not doing anything else for the rest of the day. But I do think that it's important that, to really focus on what you're doing. And that's why I always think journaling is so powerful, writing down your thoughts, writing down your wins, writing down, just the things that are positive. I read something where a guy was complaining for a year about their spouse, and he wrote positive things every day that she did, and then I guess a year he presented it to her, but it changed his thinking. It changed his thinking for her. And I think that's something that we can do for ourselves, right? If we do positive I am statements, I am dependable, I am worthy, I am beautiful, we start to change our perspective of how we see ourselves. And my hope is when we do that, we're so grounded with ourselves and we're confident, because I think a confidence have a lot to do with it, know, and so when we're looking at other people, and everybody has their own battles, and we might be seeing someone in their winning season. No one's going to post their losing season.
I did.
That's great. That's great. But you don't see it often.
So true.
I just think that it's just really important to journal when we're thinking about our mindset and paying attention to other people. It's nice to give kudos and congratulation remarks, but we got to get back in the game for our own journey. So then that way we can, just kind of do the things that fulfill us.
Well, my friends, this has been an amazing conversation, and I feel the four of us could probably talk for hours about this topic. So thank you so much. And if anybody takes anything away from this live, it's that any of us can fall. Any of us can have hard times. But what defines us is how we get back up. And that's honestly what the subtitle of my book. We all fall. We all have hard times in life. But what are you doing about it? How are you getting back up? And there's resources. Helpful Living Magazine, Jamie, is an amazing resource for people. Reach out to Jamie for that. Kristy, you're a phenomenal coach. I have learned so much from you, my friend, and it's amazing. And Irina, everybody needs a life coach. You've helped me in more ways than I can. And I met you through this process. And it's like, I went from speakers and just, trying to get speakers together to, I feel I have friends now from around the globe that I can count on. And this community, I'm going to start to cry live. It's amazing. So thank you all for joining today. It's amazing. And if you guys haven't signed up for Healthy Mind, Healthy Body, it is not too late. I have a ton of interviews left going out. Don't miss out, because it's helping. It really is. And I get emails every single day with how much it's helping. So
awesome. Join and be the part of this movement.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Bye bye.